Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to learn about DOM and event fundamentals. Before going to this video, in previous video we learned about dynamic web applications with real world examples, and also we learn about introduction to JavaScript. Why JavaScript? JavaScript is important because majority of the browsers can understand JavaScript easily, and also many companies are using JavaScript. And also we learn about and also we written our first JavaScript program using VS Code. VS Code is an IDE where we can code, and also we learn about JavaScript variables, in that how to declare a variable and how to assign a value to that variable. Okay, in this video our agenda is DOM, document object model, in that manipulating HTML and CSS, and also we learn about HTML DOM tree followed by DOM methods, in that getElementById of, and also we learn about events, onClick event. Okay, at end of this video we can complete this task. It is the big task. If you want to complete any big task, first of all you have to divide that big task into smaller parts. Okay, what is your task? Our task contains light, cat and some buttons. When we click off button, then cat will be invisible, and also light also in off state. When we click on button, then cat will be visible and also light in on state. Okay, here colors also changes and your context also changes. Okay, let's understand. First of all we have to divide in parts big task into smaller parts. First of all, when we click off button, what we can see? We can see only bulb in off state, and also we can see only cat eyes, and also on button with the background color green. When we click on button, okay, when we click on button, then we can see light in on state, and also we can see complete cat image, and also off button with background red color. Okay, to do this, first of all you have to understand how do we manipulate HTML and CSS using JavaScript. Okay, before that we have to understand DOM. What is mean by DOM? Document object model. Okay, what is mean by document object model? When we given a document to the browser represent the document content into structured format. Okay, what is mean by DOM? DOM is a structured representation of the content in the DOM created by the browser will create structured representation using content in the document. Okay, DOM, document object model, contains many methods. One of that HTML DOM. What is mean by HTML DOM? When we given HTML document to the browser, that browser takes that content in the document, it converts into tree structured format, tree structured representation of the HTML document created by the browser. Browser will allows JavaScript to change the document structure, style and content. What is this? JavaScript can change structure of the DOM tree and also style and content of the DOM tree with the help of browser. Browser will allow to change in DOM tree. Okay, let's understand with the example. For example, we have HTML document. It contains one heading tag and button tag. Okay, when we given this HTML document to the browser, that browser represent this document into tree structure format, tree structure representation. Here we can see that tree structure representation. It contains, at the beginning we have document. Remember this, at beginning we have document followed by HTML. It contains header, body has h1 and button, and it has some content. Okay, this is represented by browser. Browser will represent tree type structure. Okay, HTML DOM tree. Okay, this is the HTML DOM tree which is created by browser. This browser allows JavaScript to change any changes in document. Okay, in this DOM tree. Okay, JavaScript can change style, content, structure of this DOM tree. Okay, let's understand what is meant by DOM. Nodes. These boxes are called as nodes or object. Okay, these boxes are called as nodes or objects. And also we understand document object. What is meant by document object or document node? It is the entry point. It is the entry point to the DOM tree. It is the entry point to the DOM. To access any element you should always start with accessing the document object first. If you want to change anything in the DOM tree, first of all you have to access document. Okay, this is the entry point to the DOM tree. Okay, let's understand with example. Let's manipulate HTML and CSS using JavaScript. Okay, first of all there is a heading tag and button. When we click change heading, then it will be changes to 4.0 technologies, and its style will be style also changes to blue color. Okay, there is some steps to follow, then we can achieve that example. Let's steps. Select the heading element. First of all we have to select, because we have to manipulate this heading. So first of all we have to select this. Okay, first step you have to select that element. After that manipulate the text content of the heading element. Okay, text content you have to change this web technology to 4.0 technologies. Text content will be changed in second step. In third step manipulate the style of the heading element. You have to manipulate the style. What is meant by style? Color will be changes to blue color. Okay, we applied color blue color. Let's do this in step by step. In first step we have to identify. We have to select. To identify any element we use id. Id is used to identify specific element uniquely. Okay, id is equal to, it contains value heading element. Okay, first of all we have to do this. Go to VS Code. Here it is the VS Code. First of all we have to create file dom.html. Okay, shift 1 enter. Here we get HTML body, h1 tag, web technologies, and also button, change heading. Okay, to identify this element we have to give id attribute. Id is equal to heading element. Okay, up to now completed. After that, to select this element by using JavaScript you use. Okay, what we done here, I will explain this. Here what we done here we created a HTML document. Here we giving this document to the browser. Okay, I will split this screen. Okay, here I am split the screen into two parts. Left side we have VS Code, right side we have browser. In left side we have dom.html. In HTML5 right click and select open with live server. Then we get output in browser. Okay, here we get output web technologies with a button. Okay, web technologies with a button. Here we have to enable one thing. Go to files, enable autosave option. It will help to, if you done any changes in the file, it automatically reflect in the output. Okay, let's go to our slides. Here we done what we have done. Here we created a HTML document and given to the browser. That browser will generate, okay, DOM tree. It will convert to DOM tree. Okay, then we can manipulate HTML and CSS using JavaScript. Okay, when we manipulating in DOM tree. Okay, we are manipulating in DOM tree, that will reflect in HTML structure. Okay, HTML document. Let's go to our slides. Here we have to select that element. Here we use document. Document is the entry point to the DOM tree. Already we know. So first of all you have to give document dot to get that element. To get that element, here we use getElementById of. By using that value heading element. Okay, then we get that element. Here we get, when we console.log of document.getElementById of heading element, then we get that that element, heading element. Okay, let's do this in practically, then you understand. Let's create a file dom.js. Okay, here we are document.getElementById of heading element. Okay, when we console it, here we selected document.getElementById of value. Here we selected that heading element. To know that, to see that output in console, we have to console console.log of, then we can see output in console. Okay, before that we have to link, we have to use a script tag, script src is equal to file name dom.js. okay, and now open, go to browser, go to right side window, click on right click, then we can see inspect option. At the end we get inspect option. It will open developer tools, go to console, it is the console. Here we get output, here we selected h1 tag, h1 element. Okay, by using JavaScript, we selected that h1 element. Okay, after that we have to manipulate. This is the first step. We selected. Okay, first step we selected. After that go to our slide, here we selected. This is our first step. Second step, we have to manipulate the text content. To manipulate text content in JavaScript by using text content property. Okay, here we selected that heading element. We have to change text content. So here you using text content property. Dot text content is equal to 4.0 technologies. Okay, let's do this. In this dot text content is equal to, here we enable auto save option, so automatically changes 4.0 technologies. Okay, if you not enable auto save option, you can save manually, Control S. Okay, here we get an output 4.0 technologies. This is our second step. Okay, here we get output as web technologies to 4.0 technologies. After that we have to style, we have to add color. This style is the style property is used to get or set a specific style. Okay, it is used to set or get the specific style of HTML element using different CSS properties. Here is the color is the CSS property is equal to color blue. Okay, to style color, you have to use, first of all you have to select that heading element. For selecting, use document.getElementById of. Okay, here I am copied and pasting in below. Dot style dot. Okay, color is the CSS property, color is equal to blue. Okay, it automatically reflects here 4.0 technologies with a blue color. Okay, let's go to our slides. This is our third step. Okay, 4.0 technologies will be converted to 4.0 technologies with a blue color. Okay, this is not our actual motto. Our motive is when we click this button, then it will changes to 4.0 technologies. Okay, for that we have to understand events. In that we have to understand what is meant by events. Events are the actions by which user or browser interact with the HTML elements. Here events are nothing but users or browser can interact with the HTML element. Okay, actions can be clicking button, pressing keyboard keys, scrolling the page, and a key up, key down. There are many actions are there. One of that onClick event. Okay, onClick event occurs when user click on the HTML element. Okay, after that here we have to give onClick to the button. OnClick event is to the button. OnClick is equal to manipulate styles of. Manipulate styles of is a method function call. This is the function call. Function destination will be written in JavaScript. First of all, we have to done up to now. Let's do up to now. Let's go to HTML. We have to give onClick event. OnClick is equal to, what is the name? Manipulate styles of. This is the function call. Okay, here we have to use this name. Okay, go to JS file. Okay, let's go to slides. Let's understand. We know already function, how to define a function. In Python we learn about def. Def is the keyword. function name of colon. After that we will give indentation. After that we will write reusable code. Okay, in JavaScript also same syntax. This is the function, this is the keyword, and also we will give function name. This is the parenthesis. Here we use round curly braces. Instead of this colon we use curly braces. Here we use indentation. Indentation is not mandatory. This is best practice. We have to give indentation. And also here we write reusable code. Okay, let's understand with the example. For example, defining a function. Function is equal to manipulate styles of. This is the function name. In function, this is the block of code. Console.log of I. This is Rahul. When we click that button, when we click change heading button, then we get output I. This is Rahul. Okay, let's go to VS Code and do this. Here we have to. Here I am commenting this just for few minutes. Here I am creating function manipulate styles of curly braces console.log of I. This is Mahinder. Okay, let's run this. We can see output in console. Go to browser and right click inspect option. In console we get, when we click the button change heading, when we click this button then only function will be called. Okay, here I am clicking change heading. Here we can see output I. This is Mahinder. Okay, here we can see output I. This is Mahinder. Okay, now we have to copy and paste these two sentences, these two statements. Okay, we have to copy and paste in this block of code. What happens here, when we click this button then only it will be manipulated. Okay, then only HTML and CSS will be manipulated. Okay, here when we click change heading then only its text content and color will be changes. Okay, this is the onClick event. Here onClick event will be given in HTML document. When we click this button then only this function will be called. In this function we have document.getElementById. We are changing this content and we are applying color to that. Okay, after that here we get output as, when we click change heading then we get output 4.0 technologies with a blue color. Okay, after that let's understand light and cat and light example. By this we can understand this concept in much more detail. Okay, let's go. There is cat and light observations. Switch status changes. Here switch status will be changes off and on. Then there is a bulb goes on and off, and cat become visible and invisible, and switch button background color will be changes. Here background color will be changes to red. When we click off then it will background color changes to gray color. Okay, I will provide predefined code HTML and CSS. If you write CSS and HTML and CSS from scratch it will take more time. Okay, I will provide predefined code, then we get output as like this. Okay, let's do this in VS Code. Okay, here I am open VS Code. Let's replace with our code. I will provide this code in our description. You can copy and paste. Windows. Here I am pasting HTML code. Okay, predefined code HTML and CSS, and also I will give CSS code. For CSS I am creating file dom.css. In CSS I am pasting some code. Okay, I will provide HTML and CSS code in the description. You can take from there. After that we have to link HTML and CSS in the header. Here is the header. Link rel is equal to style sheet href, file name dom.css. Okay, here we link HTML and CSS. Let's run this. Right click, open with live server. Here we get output as output like this. There is a button, cat, and some switches, off and on switches. Okay, let's manipulate. How can we manipulate HTML and CSS using JavaScript? Let's understand this. Okay, let's open our slides. Here we get our output like this. Let's go forward. How to achieve this? When we click off button, then we can only see light in off state. Only we can see cat eyes, and button on click button will be in background color green. And also when we click on button, when we can see light in on state, complete cat, and also button off button will be background color will be red color. Okay, let's do this with some steps. By following some steps, make switch listen to user actions. Switch based on user actions, that cat visible and invisible, that dynamically changes. HTML and CSS will be dynamically changes. Make button goes on and off. Make cat visible and invisible. Update switch status. Okay, update switch status. Change the background color of the switches. Okay, let's do this. First of all, we have to add some function calls. Okay, two function calls here, off button for off button and on button. Here we have two buttons. When we click buttons, these two buttons, that HTML and CSS will be changes. Okay, for that here we are using onClick event. OnClick is equal to switch off. This is the switch off. This is the function call, and switch on off. This is also in another function call. Okay, after that in JavaScript we have to define that functions. Okay, let's do this. Let's go to VS Code. Here we have buttons. It is the off button. Here is the on button. We have to create on click event. On click is equal to switch off. Here it is the function call, and also we have to add for on button. On click is equal to switch on function call. Go to JavaScript. I am removing this code. Here we have to define two functions. Function switch off, and we have to define another function. Function switch on. Okay, these are the two function definitions. After that, go to our slides. Here we have to select how to make bulb go on and off. For that, we have to, when we switch on, bulb status will be on. When switch off, bulb status will be off. Okay, let's do this. To do this, to manipulate that, we have to first of all identify. To identify that element, here we use ID is equal to. ID is the attribute which is used to identify that element uniquely. ID is equal to blue image. Okay, ID is equal to bulb image. Sorry, ikkada bulb image. Here bulb image. Go to our HTML. Go to our HTML, DOM HTML. Here we have to give, where is the bulb? This is the bulb. Here we have to give ID. ID is equal to bulb image. Okay, after that we have to manipulate, we have to change. For that we have to use JavaScript. document.getElementById.src. Here we are using src because we are manipulating URL image, so we are using src. Here we have to use src. Src is equal to image URL. When we click the button off, then we have to show off button state image. For that, when we click on, here we have to show bulb will be on state. Okay, that image we have to show here. Okay, let's do this. For that, you have to go to JavaScript file, document dot get element by id. Here is the id name, bulb image dot src. Here we have to give image which is in bulb which is in off state image, we have to give bulb off state. Okay, when we click this URL, we will see this is the bulb in off state image. Okay, and also here we have to give document dot get element by id of bulb image dot src is equal to, here we have to give bulb which is in on state URL, bulb which is in on state. Okay, we have to click this image URL, then we can see this image. Okay, here we can do directly when we click off button. Okay, first of all we have to link HTML and JavaScript. For that, at the end of this body, here we have to give script src is equal to dom.js. Okay, now it will be work correctly. Off, when we click off button, just a second. Okay, here we have to add C switch, where we are given spelling mistake switch. Okay, here we have to see. Okay, switch on. When we click off button, bulb will be off state. When we click on button, just a second. Okay, here we have small mistake, bulb bulb dot bulb image. Okay, when we click off button, then it will be bulb will be off state. When we click on button, bulb will be on state. Okay, after that, go to our slides. First, one step will be completed. Let's make cat visible and invisible. When we click off button, cat will be invisible, only eyes will be visible. When we click on button, only complete cat will be visible. Okay, let's do this. For that, you have to select that image. Okay, when we click on button, image will be completely visible. When we click off button, only eyes will be visible. Okay, here we have to select that image. Here we have to use id is equal to cat image. Okay, let's do this. Go to VS Code, same step you have to follow. For cat image, it is the cat image. Here we have to create a id id is equal to cat image. Okay, after that you have to manipulate by using JavaScript. Here we have to select and manipulate document.getElementById of cat image dot src is equal to URL. Here we have to give URL. When we click off button, here we have to give URL of eyes, cat eyes. Okay, here we have to give complete cat image when we click on button. Okay, let's go to VS Code and complete this. Let's go to VS Code, open VS Code JavaScript file. In off button, when we click off, here we have to select, first of all we have to select that image. For that, document.getElementById of cat image dot src is equal to, here you have to give cat eyes, cat image, cat eyes. Okay, after that, when we click this URL, here we get only cat eyes. Okay, will take some time. Here we get cat eyes. Okay, after that, when we click on button, here we have to show complete cat image. For that, document.getElementById of cat image dot src is equal to cat complete image, cat image. Okay, here is the complete cat image. Okay, here is the complete cat image. Okay, here we can see when we click off button, cat will be invisible, only cat eyes will be visible. When we click on button, complete cat and light also changes. Okay, light also in on state. Okay, after that we have to change text content. I think we have to change text content. Here we have to change text content. When we click on button, the text content will be switched on. When we click off button, text content will be switched off. Okay, let's do this. For that, first of all we have to select that heading element. Id is equal to switch status. Okay, id is equal to switch status. Then we have to, in JavaScript we have to select that element and manipulate it. Okay, here we have to select that, and here we use text content property to change, to manipulate that text. Here we use switched off, here we use switched on. Okay, let's do this. Go to VS Code. First of all, you have to give id. Here we have to give, sorry, id is equal to switch status, switch status. Okay, after that go to JS file. Here document dot get element by id of switch status dot text content is equal to switched off, switch off. Okay, after that in onClick function, here we have to give document dot get element by id of switch status. Okay, here I have to give dot text content. Okay, text content is equal to switched on, switched on. Okay, when we click off button, it will be changed to switched off. When we click on button, it changes to switched on. Okay, let's go to our slides. After that, we will change background color of the buttons. When we click off button, on button background color will be gray color. When we click on button, off button background color will be red. And also when we click off button, then on click button background color will be green. Okay, let's do this. Further, we have to select that elements, button element id is equal to off switch, button on button is equal to id is equal to on switch. Okay, let's do this. Go to HTML. For on button, here we have to select id is equal to off switch. For on button, id is equal to on switch. Okay, let's do this. First of all, we have to select. Here we have to select. Here we are given id for a unique identification. Here we have to select document dot get element by id of on switch dot style is equal to style dot background color is equal to, here I have to give hexacode. Okay, hexacode 222C 55E. Okay, let's do this. This is the green color, this is the gray color. Okay, ash color. When we click off button, it have to show on button. Okay, and we click on. Okay, when we click off button, it will be show green color to the on button, and it will show off button will be gray color. Let's do this. For that, when we click off button, document dot get element by id of switch dot style dot background color is equal to xcode ash 22C 55. What is here? 55E. Okay, here we get green color. When we click off button, then we get, just a second, here we have to give on switch. For on switch, when we click off button, then we get green color to the on button. Okay, after that it will be turned to ash color. For that, document dot get element by id of our switch dot style dot background color is equal to, here we have to give hash, here we have cbd 2d9 cbd 2d9. okay, here we get hash color. When we click off button, just a second, background color will be background color, just a second, here we given background clip background color. When we click off button, its background color will be ash color. okay, it on button we have background color will be green button. okay, let's copy this. Same will be applied to on switch, but we have to change Xcode. Here I am pasted. Go to our slide. When we click on button, then for on switch we have to give cbd ash color, and also off button we have to give red color. Here we have to change on switch. Here we have to give red color, ash for red color, Xcode E12D39 E12D39. okay, now off button, when we click off button, on button background color will be green. When we click on button, off button background color will be red. okay, this is our complete functionality. When we click off button, cat will be invisible, button bulb status will be off state. When we click on button, complete cat will be visible, and bulb also in on state. okay, go to our slide. Here what we use camel case for styling. We have to use camel case for JavaScript. okay, color is equal to color, font size. In CSS we use property font size. In JavaScript we have to use font camel case. Next word we have to give capital letter. okay, same background color we have to give C as the capital letter, upper letter. okay, this is the camel case. okay, in this video we learn about DOM and HTML DOM. In that DOM tree, manipulating HTML and CSS, DOM methods. In that getElementById, events, onClick event. okay, in next video we learn about data types and basic operations. okay, thank you.